Okay, so we spend about a third of our entire lives completely unconscious. But what if I told you that sleeping isn't really about rest at all? That while your body is lying still, your brain is actually one of the busiest places on the planet. Today, we're going to dive into the essential, non-negotiable jobs your brain can only do when you're asleep.
First off, let's just think about how weird sleep is. From an evolutionary point of view, it makes zero sense. For thousands and thousands of years, going unconscious for 8 hours a night meant you were completely vulnerable to predators, to danger, to everything. And yet, almost every animal in existence does it. So why? Why do we take this massive risk every single night?
Well, the answer turns out to be pretty simple, but it completely flips our whole idea of sleep on its head. It's because sleep isn't about shutting down. It's about starting up some really critical maintenance. While you're out, your brain is hard at work, cleaning, repairing, and organizing everything for the day ahead.
So, how does all this work? Well, you can think of your brain's operations like a 24-hour cycle that has a really important night shift. And this isn't just some random shutdown. It's a highly structured biological process. It's all managed by our internal body clock, the circadian rhythm, which basically tells the brain the exact moment the night's work needs to begin.
And how does your body even keep time? It uses hormones as signals. So as it gets dark, your brain starts releasing melatonin. Think of it like the night shift manager blowing the whistle, telling everyone it's time to get to work. Then, in the morning, a shot of cortisol acts like your body's natural alarm clock, signaling that the shift is over and it's time to wake up.
All right, so what is all this work the brain is doing all night? Well, one of its most critical jobs is basically janitorial services. No, I'm serious. Your brain has its very own dedicated cleaning crew that only comes out at night.
And this is actually a pretty new and totally revolutionary idea in neuroscience. See, it's not a passive process. During your deepest stages of sleep, your brain is actively, physically flushing out all the metabolic junk that builds up from a full day of thinking, feeling, and just being.
This whole process even has a name. It's called the glymphatic system. The easiest way to picture it is like your brain's internal plumbing and waste disposal network. It uses this clear liquid, cerebrospinal fluid, to literally wash through your brain tissue and carry away all the harmful byproducts.
And here is the absolute kicker. Timing is everything. While you're awake, the glymphatic system is barely doing anything. But during deep sleep, it kicks into overdrive. And here's the wildest part. Scientists discovered that when you sleep, some of your brain cells actually shrink to create more space between them. This allows all that cleaning fluid to flow way more freely and do a much deeper clean. Your brain literally needs you to be unconscious to get the job done right.
So why does this matter so much? Because this cleaning process gets rid of some seriously dangerous stuff, including a protein called beta amyloid. You may have heard of it, because scientists have found that clumps of this exact protein are a key sign of Alzheimer's disease. So getting enough deep sleep is literally helping to protect your brain for the long haul.
But wait, the night shift does more than just clean up. It also acts like an expert archivist and an emotional therapist, sorting through all the information and feelings you collected during the day. Let's talk about the archiving part first.
This is exactly why cramming all night before a test is a terrible idea. While you're sleeping, your brain is like a librarian, reviewing everything you learned. It strengthens the important connections, basically putting key info on the keep shelf while tossing out all the random, irrelevant details. This whole filing process is called memory consolidation, and it's how new knowledge and skills actually stick.
Sleep also resets your emotional balance for the next day. It fine-tunes the connection between your amygdala, which is kind of like your brain's emotional gas pedal, and your prefrontal cortex, the rational part that acts as the brakes. Without that nightly reset, the gas pedal gets stuck to the floor. And that's exactly why a lack of sleep can leave you feeling irritable, anxious, and just completely irrational.
Okay, so we've seen just how essential the brain's night shift really is. So what happens when that crew just doesn't show up for work? What's the real cost of skipping out on all this crucial maintenance?
Well, the short-term effects are things we've probably all felt. You ever have one of those days where you just can't focus? Where your reactions feel like they're in slow motion? Yeah, that's your brain running without its nightly tune-up. You get more irritable, and your ability to make good, rational decisions just tanks.
But it's the long-term effects, where things get really serious. Chronic sleep deprivation is linked to a higher risk of heart disease, obesity, and a weaker immune system. And, as we just talked about with the glymphatic system, it seriously increases your risk of neurodegenerative diseases down the line. This is not a debt you can just pay off over the weekend.
So if you take just one thing away from all of this, let it be this.
Sleep is not a luxury. It is not passive rest. It is essential, active maintenance for your brain and your body. It's just as critical as breathing or eating.
Which, of course, brings us to the final question. I want you to think about your own habits. Knowing that your brain's personal cleaning crew, your memory archivist, and your emotional therapist are all just waiting to clock in. Are you giving them enough time each night to actually do their essential work?